Margaret Olley probably has the most painted face in the history of Australian art. This William de Bell portrait won the Archibald Prize in 1948. It brought record crowds to the Art Gallery of New South Wales and made her an instant art celebrity. She's also sat for colleagues like Russell Drysdale, Donald Friend and Geoffrey Smart. But Margaret Olley is first and foremost a painter herself, and she has a dedicated following. Her latest exhibition, which opened this week at Sydney's Australian galleries, had all but sold out before the first wine glass was poured.
If she's cooking, then she's painting in the kitchen. If she's sitting down, then she's painting in the drawing room. If she's writing a letter, then she's painting where she writes letters. If she's asleep, then she's painting in the bedroom. The entire house is a studio.
I have an obsession. Don't ask me. I think I'm waiting for the painting. I'm hoping for the ultimate painting. I know where all the paint is. I mean, I could work into darkness and I know where all the paint is.
This week, the 7:30 report received a rare invitation to bring our cameras into Margaret Olley's studio house. She's filled it with all the objects she needs to fuel her imagination. Fruit and flowers, jugs and vases, it all speaks of an obsession with objects.
There are certain things I like. People bring me things that I'm not interested in at all. But I really only use them for colour or shape. The same jugs, well, they're different with different light. I use them all for shapes. Oh, I just love cornflowers, just having them about. There's something very beautiful about the colour. I mean, it's just a little wild flower, but there's something quite magical about it.
To some eyes, Margaret Olley's quiet interiors and still lifes are old-fashioned. They don't have enough to say. But Olley has always ignored fashion. A painter's painter, it's light and colour and form and applying paint she cares about.
There's a contemporary view that painting should be about discourse rather than just the hermetic practice of poetry. And that's, I guess if you challenge her from that point of view, there is no real message. But then there's not a lot of message going on in most of the paintings hanging on the walls in this museum.
This week, the Art Gallery of New South Wales announced that next year it will mount a long overdue retrospective of Margaret Olley's work, to be curated by Barry Pearce.
Great, that's good. If we look at that early self-portrait of 1948, it really summarises everything that's going to come. The relationship between herself as the persona and her still life is very close. It's a very hermetic, private world, which is safe and protected, almost like a medieval garden. And in that sense, they have a very universal appeal. It reflects her private world, at the centre of which is a very tough but warm and generous heart.
Is that what you're really interested in painting, is just the things around you in the house, in this amazing room?
Well, I used to love painting landscapes.
Why did you stop?
Well, I don't drive. And friends used to sort of say, well, I'll take you out painting. By the time you walk over the landscape and eventually get the feel of it and the light and settle yourself down, then the people become bored and they say, will you be much longer? How much longer will you be? I mean, you know, really and truly.
And you're looking over towards the sound man in that direction?
Oh, am I? There you are.
Margaret Olley may not like giving interviews, but she doesn't mind being controversial. Last year, she made an extremely brief appearance in a documentary on fellow painter Geoffrey Smart.
Who saw the Arthur Boyd exhibition? What did you think of it? I think the myth has gone before the man, and billing him as the greatest Australian painter.
Brief perhaps, but anxious faxes were soon flying, and her views about public funding of the arts are equally controversial.
Taxpayers' money should not be squandered around. I mean, painters aren't. I think we're just ordinary people with an obsession. An obsession. And we're very rich for having this obsession.
But that's Margaret Olley, always her own person, always with her own vision, beyond fashion.
I believe in art without epoch. I like great art. Anything that's great.
And an obsessional artist.